Want to know what your dog is thinking?
Have a challenging dog behavior you need help with?
The Dish on Dogs is your source for all your canine questions.
Improve your relationship with your dog and deepen your understanding of your furry friend. Right here on the Dish on Dogs. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, affectionately known as the mayor of Houndstown, USA, home, of course, to the happiest dogs on earth. So this is another episode. If you've been listening, the last few episodes on the Dish on Dogs, obviously we talk about dogs. It's in the name, implies the Dish on Dogs. Very clever. And we talk about dogs. In the last 2 or 3 episodes, we're really actually talking about the dog business. So many of the episodes are about the animal behavior. This episode is going to be another episode following up on the animal care, pet care business, specifically Houndstown franchise, Houndstown USA, our pet care system. So it's exciting to me. We're actually in Sanford, Florida for this broadcast, where we're doing our 12th opening. Our 12th location is opening in Central Florida. And it's always especially gratifying to me that the months and sometimes years it takes for businesses to develop comes to fruition, and our vision, our team's vision, which we have a very robust team of people that work very hard, makes everything comes together. In fact, there's going to be a space launch in about 10 minutes, and it's similar to that to me, right? There's been a lot of work, and all of a sudden there's this space launches. And that's when everything comes together, and that's when I really feel that everybody's very gratified by it. There is always delays, there's ups and downs. So today's a special day for me, and it's always especially fun when I can have franchisees. And today I have the pleasure of having Jane and Leslie, our newest Space Ghost franchisees, joining me today. And they can tell us about their experience. If you listened to last episode, we had Paige and Sean from Sanford, and they explained their experience, which was pretty wild. As I said in my last, they experienced a lot. Their site selection process was interrupted by COVID-19. Many things happened with the SBA lending system. So it was one obstacle at a time, and they had a baby 2 months ago. Literally 2 months ago, Paige was in here in this building picking out tiles. She went to lunch, came back and had a baby. So, so you talk about dedication and passion. This is the type of people in our system, our marketing team, everybody, our training team. Awesome. So let me welcome, without any further ado, Jane and Leslie from Space Ghosts. Welcome,
Hi.
guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Hey, good.
So this is very exciting to me to have you here. As I just said, this is when all the pieces of the puzzle come together. And all of our franchisees are at different places in their journey, and it is a journey. So you guys have the dubious distinction of doing a discovery day in the middle of February, signing a lease in the middle of March, and you're opening in the end of July. So This is incredible. Probably pissing off a lot of our franchisees listening.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. But we do, like to highlight the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what I talk about. And I really like to always get the perspective of the franchisee. So you obviously had a life before Houndstown. So talk a little bit about what you did and how you ended up standing here in Sanford today.
Well, we're both educators, and we've worked together for over 20 years as early childhood educators and child development specialists. And we developed a program in our county that was for children because we didn't feel there was quality care focusing on the child and not just a monetary reward. So we developed our own program in 2005, started it from the ground up together, and had it for 16 years. And we incorporated sign language and therapy dogs, and dogs have always been a huge part of our life in the program. So when we retired from teaching, for us it was natural to continue with something we absolutely love and are passionate about. At least it was for me.
Right, yeah.
So what's interesting is you are partners. First of all, you're entrepreneurs, and you didn't just come up with this idea together. You just met somewhere and decided you wanted to go in business. You have a very close business relationship, which is important. It's a business relation, not a friendship, not a financial relationship. You worked as entrepreneurs together, regardless of the business, whether it was children's daycare or what you're doing now. So what was the experience like between what you did? And I'm kind of almost guessing that some of this stuff because you guys have been like smooth sailing as far as franchisees are concerned, up until this point, of course. And the site selection and the build-out is usually tremendously stressful for almost all of our franchisees, and rightfully so, because it's very complicated, dealing with contractors, dealing with zoning boards. And from my perspective, a lot of times we can predict how well, and it's not 100%, we can predict how successful and how well a franchisee is going to be when they follow our process and there's not a lot of drama during the build-out process. So admittedly, you guys have been doing remarkably well in that. So describe what that was like for you.
It's been a lot of luck, but also we appreciate that you set down the formula, because it's completely different than having no gauge whatsoever. We did a lot of floundering in 2005 and a lot of crying, and it's just been incredible to have a support system and have a layout and have someone to go to if we had any issues or concerns or questions, to give us a successful roadmap to take care of anything we were concerned about. So for us, it's been a much smoother process because we weren't alone.
Right. And that, of course, for those listening, that's what franchising is all about. It's running a business, more or less a mom and pop, or you're running a small business with the help of a corporate team. It's often described as running a small business with training wheels, meaning our job is to support you, not do everything for you, of course, but support you in almost every aspect. And I think we do a relatively good job. But you can tell me if we did. Did you do any prior, research into any of our competitors in the pet care business?
Yeah, we did. We looked at a few of the other competitors, kind of looked at their philosophy, ran some of their numbers, looked at our community to see what we really would fit into our location. And Houndstown was the perfect fit for us, just from our personalities, knowing that it's based on the behavioral side of the dog, and we did that in teaching, and knowing that there's a community to the corporation too.
And there was a need for quality care that were a huge void. We had some places available, but we felt we would want to put our pets in an environment like Houndstown instead of what was currently available in our area.
Right. So that's very interesting. Obviously, it's very gratifying from my point of view, because our whole philosophy as a franchise system is, number one, is to have fun and provide safe, quality dog care, pet care for our customers. And our customers are dogs. The humans just bring them there. We educate the humans, but the dogs, we got the dogs covered. And frankly, many of our competitors don't. And I can tell that when they have programs in place that just doesn't make sense to me, and they're applying it to a dog. So I'm gratified by that statement. Most importantly, you did talk about the community. And this is something that's very often overlooked. And we have Houndstown Charities, so we're networked really into the community. And I know from talking to Corey, and these are things that I don't know about, so you can explain to me what a Facebook group is, for example. I don't know what it is. Good news is, I don't have to know, I just have to know people that do know. And that's the other really critical part of franchising. You don't have to know anything about dogs. Actually, I prefer people just like dogs, but they don't have to know which end of the dog is which. I can teach that. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. Social media, marketing, this is not my strong point. As I said, I'm not on Facebook myself. I don't know anything about it. So tell us about that experience, because I know Corey said that you guys are like blowing it away, and I'm actually imitating how he does it. Like, blowing it away. Is that right? No, Corey? All right, go ahead. So talk about that. That's because social media, by definition, is connecting with your community.
Right.
So tell me why this is so cool.
Corey's made it really relatively easy. I was by no means a social media guru on Facebook or any other platform. But what we did is we created a private group for Houndstown USA Space Coast for our location. We personally spoke to people that are in a similar, in a dog industry. So we talked with veterinary offices, pet supply stores, things like that were actually looking forward to us coming to the community and excited. So all we did was speak to those people, ask them if they have a Facebook, and told them we're having a group so that they would know absolutely step by step everything we're doing, how we're doing it, construction updates, photos. And we had some growth experiences to grow our group and some contests because we are going to be giving away some free days and so forth. So we just asked people to share the message that we're coming, and it's because we can make our community better, and we want them to help us build our community.
Right. So that's really cool. And you kind of minimize it. You said all we do is that, but that's a lot. What you
Well,
did.
yeah, it takes
but
a
it's
lot
a
every
necessary
day, but-
evil, and I think this is so important for franchisees, potential franchisees, to understand. It's not just you sign an agreement, write a check for everything, and all of a sudden people are knocking at your doors.
no.
It's actually opposite of that. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think
never too early to start spreading
so.
the
Let's
word.
talk about
Right.
that though, Jane. So you signed your lease in March. Here we are in June. What does your social media Facebook look like right now?
I believe we're at 470
Yes,
members in our
470
private
members
group.
in our group.
Right. So to me, that's remarkable, even though I don't know what Facebook is. 400 of people following you.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea. They're part of your little Houndstown family now. And Corey, I know, has a very robust marketing plan for you guys. And have you just, like, what do you feel? You've obviously very intelligent people. You look at these things, you didn't just fall off a turnip truck. You ran a business. What? A turnip truck.
I totally get it.
A little Animal Crossing then.
Depends how old you are. There's a lot of
Yeah, I get
factors
it.
to go into the humor there, Corey. So it wasn't, and sometimes we come across franchisees or potential franchisees, they just don't get it. They're wonderful people, but they're in love with dogs, so that's their primary motive, loving dogs. Right. Liking dogs should be a motive, but making money and establishing all the things you're looking for in life, the community networking, that's what's important, and being an entrepreneur. Loving dogs sometimes is actually a deficit if you love your dogs too much. It's actually a negative, and that might sound weird to people listening, but so you have this 400 people in your group, and how often do you, what is that like? So tell us about the process.
We post 4 to 7 posts a day. We make them interactive as well, so we really get to talk to all of our members every day in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a reaction or emoji or seeing their dogs. We always ask to see the pups because we want to see, and get to know who's coming, and we're all excited about it. So it's just an interaction with the community, showing and sharing our message, but more importantly, also assessing their needs and seeing how we can fit in.
Right, how you can adjust just anything, your hours, your whatever it is, you're connecting with the community. It's not, and that's part of what Houndstown is, not cookie cutter. We give franchisees a certain amount of flexibility to be unique to your community. You have every community we go to, including here, we're in Central Florida, so this has its own uniqueness. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. By the way, I got a text today. They are we're still in this COVID-19 thing. They are booked full for boarding for the summer weekends. This is crazy to me. Crazy.
Awesome.
We're just hopefully coming out of COVID, but when I mentioned Pittsburgh, and one of the reasons I'd like to attribute that is they really follow a robust marketing plan. So I'm sorry, I just had to digress because it just came to me that they're booked for the summer weekends, and it's okay.
We're definitely essential.
We're an essential service, right?
Yes.
Good point. So it's not just a luxury doggy daycare. It's not a place where we go and we read storybooks to dogs, as we all learn. Maybe we don't. It's very straightforward, and it's a necessity for pet owners that obviously are essential workers. They were working 12 hours a day, 10 hours. So we really never skipped a beat. Houndstown as a franchise system, COVID-19, social unrest, all the things that are happening. We put our foot on the gas pedal, and we encouraged our franchisees, like you guys, y'all. It depends on. I know I'm in Florida. I gotta adjust, but you guys, you never put your foot on the brake. Quite opposite, and that's what a lot of our franchisees. I got to slow them down but you put the foot on the brake, and therefore, in July you're going to be open. So March, April, and May.
Knock on something, yes.
Nothing's right. So let's get back to the social media, because it sounds to me like a lot. So if you have 400 people and you're going to talk to them, is that hard to manage? Just for all people listening.
It's changed my life a bit. I would be fibbing if I told you that we went and I just relax and kind of put my phone down. You know, I am now on my phone more than I ever have, so I can reply to messages and talk to people and do it within a reasonable window, you know, less than 10 minutes. I prefer 30 seconds to 60.
Right. Well, that's great. I love that. Jane, do you guys share that, or do you?
We
is this her?
share a little
We
bit.
share.
Right now, Leslie's doing the Facebook side of it, and once I'm doing the Instagram, and once we get open, Instagram will play a big part on how we communicate with our parents.
Okay,
She's relaxing a little more right now,
Yeah.
but that
A little
will change
bit.
soon.
right. But it's good that you're doing that because you kind of share the energy.
Right.
And any interactions I've always had with you has been pleasant, upbeat. We have our ups and downs, but I want to stick with that because I know Corey is like the social media Nazi of, and he wants you to respond in 7 minutes.
Yes.
You just said something interesting. You'd like to respond in
Yeah.
seconds.
Yes.
So
She
me,
likes to break records.
and I do, and I hear this, and that's good. And you are breaking a record, by the way, just by virtue of opening. You have broken our record. So, but when I say that, because I get feedback from everybody, of course, and I listen, and it's more gossip than anything else. But it sounds so people, the marketing team in general, not just Corey, but the marketing team, they get praise when franchisees invest what he asks, then they love Corey. Of course, we're all human, so he might try a campaign. I don't think he has yet, but he might try a campaign that didn't work out. But that's life. That's like getting a flat tire in your car. You don't, throw away your car. These are just, but by and large, when I talk to folks like you, it's data. This is not head scratching, so we know that what every campaign did. We know, I'm not guessing that Houndstown's doing well right now, the stores that are open. I have the information, I have the data every day. So how critical, in the big picture of things, you did your site selection, that was a piece of cake. You're still in the middle, well.
We got so lucky. I
You
have
got
to
lucky.
say.
I mean, come on, I got
did.
people ready to
Yeah,
jump
we
off the roof.
I know,
but
we got
they've been
lucky.
looking for a year and a half now, so yeah.
Right.
Don't roll your eyes over there, Jane. This was a piece of cake. So then you have your build out.
Right.
And that's usually another stressor that can be very overwhelming. How far along in the process are you build out? Halfway, three-quarters?
We're more than halfway, I believe.
Right, you believe.
From my
And-
non-contractor
right.
point of view.
Right.
But it's interesting because build out can look like it's not progressing to the franchisee, but there's so many things on the inner workings, like the duct work and the electrical panel, where it might not be an obvious change, but things have been happening. So it's really important to communicate with your contractor, to ask instead of assume.
Right, thank you. So I think not only the communication, human communication is the key of everything, and not thinking and drinking a bottle of wine at home and kicking the cat because things aren't going your way. It's about communication in obviously a respectful way. We're business partners. That's at the end of the day, this is a partnership. We didn't sell you anything. We've gone into a 10-year agreement with you. So, and there's no doubt we're going to have differences of opinion. You're going to have differences of opinion with everyone, and that's fine. That's what life is, and adults just hash that out. And we always are right, and you're wrong. No. So that's one of the challenges that I have. My franchisees are brilliant. They're coming from the banking industry, the insurance industry, the airline industry. So these are big, smart, intelligent people. So sometimes we have this who's smarter than who mentality. And you guys are brilliant. I mean, I literally listened to you just now having these conversations, and it's pretty impressive. So we have these little, but I don't know if you can argue with data. Even if we have we disagree on something. If your husband is some kind of genius, right? What is he? He's some kind of...
Yes, he's a cell molecular biologist.
Cellular molecular biologist. All right, I can't even say it. So you have this big academic family, which is wonderful because you can study data, you know where you make mistakes and so forth. So in the build-out process, I can't even ask you any questions. You go with the flow. You've done this. You've built out your prior business, the school. Yes. You've been there, done that. What was that like? Just what were the biggest pain in the asses?
Permitting, realizing that it is not usually the engineers or GC's fault, that counties and cities change things and change laws in the midst of that process that can set you back weeks and months. A lot of hurdles to jump through, but for us, understanding, the biggest thing is communication and understanding that we don't communicate the same way a GC or a contractor communicates. It's almost like two completely different languages. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, so it's important that when you ask questions, you don't assume they're answering as if they're you. So you have to ask in a more specific fashion.
Right. That is so well put. And we just had this conversation last night. We had a construction meeting with our construction manager, and he's talking, just like you said, like a different language. He's
Right.
using acronyms and MEPs, PPS, joint ICA, and it's
Right.
not something I have any clue of. And I have to call him and say, tell me that in plain English. I don't want to assume like I'm supposed to know what MPGs are or anything like that. But I guess the point is you did it and you understand it, and it's kind of baked into the cake. A build out is going to be super stressful.
Right, yes, absolutely. If it's not, something's going on, whether you have a brother that's a contractor, but yeah.
Right. You hired Uncle Joe
Right.
or your brother-in-law who skipped town with the, whatever. So that's it. So now the next big trigger point, of course, is your opening. But it seems to me you're like so prepared for your opening that, how do you feel about it? Where is your temperament level right now?
I can't wait.
So excitement.
Yeah,
we're-
very excited.
Super excited and can't wait to show off the facility, and we can't wait to show all the hard work that we put in.
Right.
And we can't wait to provide a service that is needed. So it's just like a culmination of everything because we put everything into it. This
Right.
is something that we're like, look what we have now, look what we did. It's a sense of childhood pride, like
No,
childlike
completely.
pride.
And that's important for entrepreneurs to understand. This is not just, to me, it's not like opening a taco stand or a yogurt factory or selling. I don't know what it's like, but it's very personal and emotional. For you guys, you did a lot of work, or the most amount of work, but behind the scenes, all my staff, they take this personal. This isn't like, oh, okay, I got to go to Space Coast, they're opening next week. We are like, this is like, to me, like I said to Sean, this is like my baby. They had a real baby. When this vision, when these things open up and everything is the way I visualized it to be, it's a very emotional experience for all of us. So we're not only emotionally invested, but we're financially invested. So the whole experience, what's been the best and worst, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If somebody was saying, you know what, I want to open up a Hounds town and play with dogs all day, what would you say?
For me, I don't know if you feel the same way, but get that award day was like the best thing ever because you don't give away your franchises, you award them. So the fact that we felt that we were chosen and that you had the confidence in us to have one of your franchises, we felt like we hit the lottery. We were so excited because we knew this is what we wanted to do. So for me, that was the best day because right now we're in the build out phase. So even though we're not uber frustrated and we're excited to see the design and the architecture and the layout, we're not far enough in that process for me to be jumping yet.
Right.
I need a couple more weeks and then that'll probably be my favorite day.
Right. But that's a very interesting way of putting it, and I'm glad you brought that up. So people, again, franchising is somewhat unique. If you don't really understand it, it's not like buying a timeshare. It's not like buying anything. It's a partnership that we're coming into, and we talk about. We award them, and it's not like we award them to people we feel have the right cultural fit. Number one, you have to want to have fun. If people come in and they're Debbie Downers, there's plenty of time for being upset in any business, but particularly the pet care business, because we're dealing with live animals. But so that was the number one criteria, and we do these discovery days. We meet wonderful people. But very often, they're not the right fit for us. It's not like, it's just not the right cultural fit. So when people come in with the right amount of energy, and we can balance that energy, because sometimes people have, passion is great, but you have to know how to channel the passion. So, so we have to make sure. And the testament to that is where you're standing right now in beautiful Central Florida and Sanford, Florida. So it's going to be Space Coast.
Yes.
It's on US 1. In Rockledge. And it's going to be extraordinary. We're hoping July 30th, our team is going to come down.
She said the good, what's the good, that's the bad and the ugly.
Oh, I said the
Oh.
good.
I forgot the bad and the ugly.
There is none.
There's
Go-
not a
no,
whole
no,
lot.
Go ahead. No, but it is. And when people come to Discovery Day, like my sales team don't even want me there because I want to go to bed at night. I can sleep well knowing that there was no mixed message. We're very transparent. So what was the bad and the ugly? What would you have done differently in hindsight?
That is really a tough
Yeah, because I
a
have
tough
no
call.
regrets.
It's been so organized all the way through, and
Yeah.
there's been different team members of
Helping
your
us.
people able to call at any time. We have a question, we can call Corinne. We have something we need to talk to Corey about, we give Corey a call. You know, so there's been so much support, not only from your team, but from the other franchisees.
Right, and that's another good point that I sometimes minimize. So our fellow franchisees are very supportive, as you guys will be, or you already have been, frankly, and you offered up. You know, we do have people that are struggling that may not have the business acumen. Now, you guys have a significant experience in running a small business. You're in a small minority in our franchise system. As I said, I have people that have great backgrounds in all kinds of walks of life. But running a business requires almost everything. You need to be in customer service. You need to know finances. You need to know marketing. Now you have to understand dogs and the dog brain. So you can be a great help for us because it's really inspirational to talk to you now. And I don't think it was just, you said a lot of luck. I think it was a little luck, but a lot of hard work. And I know it, because I know likewise, if I text you a question, 2 seconds later, you're responding to me, so.
We try. As far as the ugly, the only thing I can think of as the bad and the ugly is because you are a franchise and you have a brand and you have a special way, we don't have an issue, but when you take it to a sign guy or anyone else and say it has to be this
Right.
way, they always want to argue with you.
Yeah,
Right.
They do.
That was the hardest thing, is we couldn't
Right.
get
Exactly.
what we needed from other people more so
Vendors.
than anything to do
Right.
with the franchise.
Right, and some of these things, it's an interesting point, because we also do not want to have cookie cutter operations. We want you to be part of the community, and there's a fine balance of us just saying this, do this, and this, do this with them, and there's no option. So we like to, and we learn by, this is the other point I want to make, and I know I got this sign here. We have 13 locations. You'll be the 14th, I believe, somewhere around there. We're going to open up five more this year. So we talk about emerging brands, and emerging brands to me, I'm not saying I get insulted by it, but again, it sounds like we just fell off the turnip truck. So we are an evolving brand. Anyone who's not evolving, whether it's a McDonald's, they're always evolving. Evolving just means we're learning. You're going to benefit from Sean and Paige's build out, because there's products, there's things change. So that is, to me, is a good thing. If we were just stagnant, our competition would go by us. But we're always, and that goes for the marketing. They have to be on the cutting edge of everything. And you get, I think, a lot of bang for your buck in terms of, I mean, that's my opinion, of course, but.
Well, what impressed us, which is another reason why we chose Houndstown, was it wasn't that you started right out to be a brand and you're fresh off we'll keep going with the turnip truck.
I like it.
And it's not that. It's 20 years of Houndstown history.
Right. 2 million dogs.
And then
There you
that
go.
was so successful,
Right.
you chose to franchise to share a better quality of care with the nation. It wasn't that you were just popping up and it was a insincere only business plan approach. It's a smart and brilliant business plan, but with a compassion behind it and a history. And that impressed us a lot.
Well, that cannot be better said. Before I break out in tears, I love you guys, and we're going to have you back. We're going to be going to your grand opening, or opening in hopefully a couple of weeks. Folks out there in, where are they, social media land? Okay, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, iTunes, you name it. Anywhere you want to listen to this crap. No, this insightful understanding the dog business. Go to any of these platforms, The Dish on Dogs. Look forward to The Dish on Dogs, the book, The Dish on Dogs, coming out at your local bookstore very soon, within the next decade. Folks, thank you for watching. Follow us. It was fun. Perfect.